Hey everyone, welcome to The Daily. I'm Greg Lawless alongside the one and only Simon Borg, and everyone's talking about the one and only Clint Dempsey, who made his debut for the Seattle Sounders on Saturday up in Toronto. Big win for Seattle, 2-1. Not the prettiest winning goal you'll ever see on the own goal, but Simon, the Sounders now in the playoff race again. They're looking good. And
Dempsey coming in for Obafemi Martins, he got injured. He's not match fit, so let's not draw too many conclusions out of this first appearance. But he had flashes of what we'd expect from Dempsey. But I think this is going to take some time for him to integrate into that squad.
Now, the most interesting thing that probably came out of the weekend, though, was, okay, Dempsey makes his debut, and then look what happens down in Dallas. Another U.S. international, a big name, a big star, comes up and puts his stamp on a game.
You know, Dempsey and Donovan, they play down the rivalry, but Landon Donovan, on the weekend that Dempsey claimed all the headlines, on Sunday he comes back, claims them all back. 3 goals against FC Dallas, really showing a finisher's instinct, and he's in some kind of form coming out of the Gold Cup. Every one of those finishes, fantastic, and he's upset though at the end of the game. Upset at the set pieces that caused the Galaxy to give up 3 goals. It finished 3-3.
Yeah, in the interview on ESPN after the game, he actually was talking about that. He said, we cannot be giving up 3 goals. That's why we're not getting results. You give up 3 goals on the road. Now, these goals, of course, 2 of them looked like they might have been offside on free kicks whipped in. Dallas coming back to get the 3-3 draw, but questions afterward about whether the assistant referee missed a couple of offsides on those free kicks.
Especially on that first questionable goal, the Blas Perez goal, where he's really ahead of the play and scores. The second one, the final goal that equalized at 3-3 for Dallas, you know, you can make an argument, not that influential, but still, he starts the play. George John is in an offside position. They're almost identical free kicks.
Yeah, but they do get the goal in the end. Blas Perez actually with a wonderful equalizer on the volley. Now, that wasn't the only big result over the weekend. Also, Sporting Kansas City 3-0 over New England, and Sporting jumped to the top of the Eastern Conference because the New York Red Bulls lost to Columbus. Now, the standings really shaking up, but you and I were talking a little bit earlier about how the 2 teams at the top right now, Real Salt Lake in the West, Sporting Kansas City in the East, are the 2 teams that probably deserve to be there.
Look, Greg, from week to week, you expect surprise results. Salt Lake, Sporting Kansas City, even them, they're going to give up a result here and there. But for the most part, if you look over the last 2 months, I think you look at Sporting and Real Salt Lake and say they've been the most consistent teams, and they're the ones you look at that probably will be there in the end battling for the support.
I think Portland might have a say in that as well, and they have a couple of games in hand on all the other clubs that are in the playoff spot in the West. Well, let us know what you think about the standings, where they stand right now, who's going to make the playoffs, who isn't, in the comments below, or hit us up on Twitter. Let's shift our gaze over to Europe now. The U.S. national team, big friendly on Wednesday against Bosnia in Sarajevo. A couple of the players, we already know they're there. Jurgen Klinsmann, already there. We saw a picture that was sent to us from our man in Sarajevo. But the news in Europe about Americans right now is the 2 young players who are going to be called up for this game. Aron Johannsson from AZ Alkmaar and John Anthony Brooks from Hertha Berlin. They both got goals this weekend.
They did. Brooks in the Bundesliga in his debut in the Bundesliga, and AZ Alkmaar's Johannsson on a penalty kick in the Dutch league. But they're going to be the story in this U.S. national team match. Will they see time? Will they get cleared in time? Johannsson wasn't even sure based on our latest report from Greg Seltzer. And will they commit themselves to the U.S.? Because this is a friendly. It's all well and good they see time in this match, but will they say, I'll be back for a World Cup qualifier. I'll answer the call if they call me up for CONCACAF. We'll see.
That is a good question. Brooks, a 6'4" center back for Hertha Berlin, helped them for promotion this year. And Aron Johannsson, of course, who has now pledged his allegiance to the U.S., starting to show some impressive things, I think, in Holland. Everyone's very excited about him.
And he told our Greg Seltzer that he plays multiple positions. He doesn't have to be the target guy necessarily. Right. But what's most interesting, and you got to catch the interview that Seltzer did with him, he won't explain why he went with the U.S. He said, I'd rather not explain it. Amazing to me. Well, he's going to have to at some point.
No, he doesn't. All he has to do is put on his cleats and get on the field and play for the U.S. in this case.
I'm disappointed if that's the case. Show some personality. Explain your decision.
Well, the friendly is Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. between the U.S. national team and Bosnia. We'll have full coverage on MLSsoccer.com, including our man in Sarajevo. All right, a couple things before we get out of here. First, I don't know if anyone saw it, but ESPN FC on TV. They made their debut yesterday. What'd you think?
A little too EPL heavy for my taste, but I like that there was an hour worth of discussion on ESPN2 about soccer.
Well, it's going to be very MLS heavy on Monday evening when Clint Dempsey is interviewed by the guys at ESPN FC. Make sure you check that out, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Also later on MLSsoccer.com, make sure you check out the Extra Time Radio podcast. And finally, Simon, goal of the week. What was your favorite goal from MLS this weekend?
This has to win. I mean, I don't know why we're doing a competition this week. Federico Higuain of the Columbus Crew.
Knew it.
That
I
chip,
knew it.
magical. It has to win. Has to win.
And it's not just the chip. It's a beautiful pass to set him free in behind after the giveaway. A couple of passes, boom, and he's gone.
But from the angle he was at, it's very hard to have that vision to see that shot.
A beautiful goal from Federico Higuain. Will that win the AT&T Goal of the Week for Week 24? Make sure you log on to MLSsoccer.com and vote.